Welcome to We Make Children's Books, the podcast that takes us through the imaginative minds of children's book authors and artists. I'm your host, Barney Smith of StoryComic.com. We're excited to have with us the internationally acclaimed and talented creator of Frankie Crossroads, Mark Richard Luther. Mark,
Hey,
how's it going?
what's going on? It's going good.
Before, just for our listeners out there, Mark and I were talking before the show and mentioned he's wearing a pretty neat looking fedora, and he pulls it off well. So, do you tell us the story behind the fedora? Does Frankie Crossroads, he wears a fedora too?
Yes, I think you can. I got the book here.
If people want to look at, because you have Frankie Crossroads, you have basically two Frankie Crossroads books out so far. You have Frankie Crossroads in the Journey, and then you also have book number 2 that came out. That is Frankie Crossroads, The Journey Continues.
Right.
And you did mention you're working on a third book, correct?
Yes. Yep. I'm continuing Frankie Crossroads, and it's called No Trespassing. And hopefully, I be able to publish it before August. I'm hoping.
What inspired you to create the character of Frankie Crossroads?
Well, that's interesting. I was a couple of years ago. I was walking Route 28, going to just walking, and I came to a swamp where I heard frogs, and I figured, and then I heard somebody singing the blues. I don't know where that came from, but then I just figured, hey, let me have a frog that was born and bred in the swamps along Route 28 in upstate New York. And he learns how to play guitar by listening to a neighbor who's a human playing, and he just wanted to go on an adventure. So,
Okay.
and then I just went home, and at college, at the library, I started sketching out the character.
And so how does your personal background influence the story?
Well, I do like the blues, and I always loved music, and I just thought it would be a great idea to combine both of them.
What challenges did you face while self-publishing the Frankie Crossroads series?
Uh, I've learned a lot. I've learned that uh, to get your own ISBN,
Hmm.
and because once you publish on, say, you publish it on Amazon, and you get one of their ISBNs, they own it. You know,
Mm.
you can't go beyond Amazon with it. So that's why I got my own one. So that means I can
And
take it away from Amazon and go other places like
right.
Barnes and Noble. So,
How do you develop the plot and the characters for each new installment of the series?
well, actually, I'll say this, but people probably won't believe me. But I have the story in my head, and I
Mm.
just by magic when I'm drawing it, this character seems to morph into what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Some people write down plots and sketch out. I don't know. I've always
Okay.
been like that. So call me a freak or whatever, but
And so what do you hope readers take away from Frankie's adventures?
that it inspires them to do their own maybe graphic novel or write something, you know. Hopefully inspire them to do something.
Okay. And so how has the response from readers influenced the direction of the series?
Everybody likes it. Nobody's really gave me any negative to it. So,
Huh.
you know, I
Okay.
mean, I do a
Well,
lot of craft shows, and I did one or two Comic Cons, and I also do. I have illustrations of the character and other characters that I sell with other things. So
how do you balance writing and marketing your books? How do you balance that?
I do a lot of marketing when I do the shows. People see it, they open it up, they read it, and they tell their friends. So I mean, it was been a positive response to it. So I've never had anybody give me any negative, like I said before. But I guess it's just me. I mean, I've heard stories about people saying, "Oh, people tell me I shouldn't do this," and I never had that. I
Mm.
never experienced that.
What role does the local environment play in shaping the narrative of your series?
I do pick some backgrounds for it. You know, I don't want to mention the name of the town because I don't want people getting their heads bigger than they are now by thinking, oh
Hmm.
yeah, well we're mentioned in this book, and so.
Oh.
But
Um,
he's on a journey. He's traveling away from upstate and trying to get to New York City eventually.
can you share some insights into your daily routine when working on a new book?
Well, let's see. I got to be at work by 7, so I'm up at 3 in the morning every day. I work on it while I'm having breakfast,
Hmm.
and then when I finish work, I come back and start all over again on a different
Hmm.
project or trying to get the graphic novel, the third one, done. So
Okay.
it's
And
like somebody who plays a piano or plays an instrument. They do it every day because that's who they are. And to me, if I don't draw, write, or anything like that, it's not a good day. It's not a good
so,
day.
so then how do you stay motivated and creative in writing and illustrating your books?
Well, I walk a lot. I
Mm.
mean, I walk along the canal where we are, and I just observe a lot and maybe get some more ideas. But I always keep motivated. I have to do it. you know, I feel lost
Mm.
if I don't do it. Or get any ideas. Or I'll probably go to, say, Applebee's or Denny's and to write out some ideas.
Right.
So I'm always observing. You know, call me call me a stalker or anything, but I observe.
So, how have your previous careers influenced your storytelling then?
Uh, let's see. Mm, I used to be a shopman for United Scenic Artists. I used to work for CBS Television in the scenic shop as a shopman. And what a shopman did was there's scenic artists that need their paints, or you make sure they have all their brushes, rollers, whatever. You prepared the floor for them so they don't get paint on the floor. And I did that for at least 16 years. So I got
Okay.
ideas and how other scenic artists did their own process so that I do it in my own process. So
Okay.
It's,
Um,
things that you work. I've worked on a film called Notting Hill. I was a shopman there where, you know, everything was done in the background. I did a shopman for one of the Saturday Night Live, you know, before they, we did it during the day before they went on hours later. So
so Mark, what advice would you give to an aspiring author who wants to self-publish?
just do it, do the research, you know, and s- just do the research. You got to do research first. You got to know copyright, give information about that. Trademark if you want to trademark the character, which in a couple months I'm in the process of doing that, but it takes money. But
Mm, right.
you just got to do it. You just got to go through the process. You got to do it every day, but take a break once in a while. You
Mm,
know, go out to eat, be with friends. Don't
right.
be a hermit.
And what has been the most rewarding part of creating the Frankie Crossroads series?
That is something I did, knowing that I created something, and it's a sense of accomplishment. When I did the first graphic novel, I was like, "Yeah, this is cool. This is great. Let me do another one." It's you continue. You know,
Mm,
People give up if they get a negative thing, but you got to persist. You got to keep going.
mm,
You got a lot of people say, "Oh, you can never make a living like that." Geez, they say about actors or somebody who wants to sing, you know?
mm,
So, or you're not beautiful enough to be an actress, or you're not beautiful enough to, or your voice is not great. Yeah, say that's to Bob Dylan. You think that stopped him?
right.
So,
And how do you see the series evolving in the next few years?
well, my art has gotten better from the first one. I think it got better. So hopefully, because my boss, my director, she likes books that like stand on their own, like ends at a certain point. She doesn't
Mm,
like it when it continues, but I said, well, comic books continue, you know?
right.
You might have the storyline, but it still continues, like Batman still does what Batman does. So,
Right.
but everybody's
Right.
got their own process. I
Hmm.
mean, what works for me probably won't work for somebody else. I mean, who gets up at 3 in the morning to do what I do?
So, 'cause you mentioned a third book that's coming out. Can you kind of give us a sneak peek in what's next for Frankie Crossroads?
Uh, let's see. Hmm. Well, storyline continues. Well, he has that. What's his name? Black-eyed Blake. He's still after Frankie for those frog legs that he wants.
Hmm.
And he's in right now. The pages I'm up to right now. He's searching for his friend Fedora Jerry, the albino bear. So, because Fedora Jerry got lost, and Frankie doesn't know where he is, and so he continues.
What other books or authors have influenced you then?
Well, when I was 5, 6 years old. My first cartoonist guy I liked was Charles Schultz. I always loved Snoopy. You know, I did my first Snoopy and didn't turn out that great, but you know, I just kept. The legend is the story is when I was 5 years old, my mother gave me a piece of paper and a pencil, and I started scribbling, making circles, scratches, and then I got better. And my mother had to come in sometimes because I was so quiet drawing. So she had to make sure I was still alive because I wasn't making any noise. But when my brother was born and he got older, he was a wild guy. So he made up for what I didn't do because I was so quiet. So, well, I have
Right.
friends today who say to me, I grew up on Long Island and Albertson, Mineola, and they always ask me, what are you writing? Or what are you drawing now? So I've always been encouraged. There was never anybody giving me negative because all my friends were also artists and writers. So, you know, when I was in 5th grade, me and my friends did a writers group, you know, in the school. So I was like, okay, writing has always been there. I always loved Edgar Allan Poe, Charles Dickens, um, Ray Bradbury, and I've always loved the old Twilight Zone series because their storytelling was amazing. So. But I
Well,
always like to read the old books, classics like Crime and Punishment. You know, because you get an experience. You see how they write and how they come up with the characters. And Dickens always has amazing characters. You know, with their lives, and you know, you got a sense. You almost felt part of it the way he described things.
do you see yourself doing other genres of work or sticking
Well,
mostly
I
to like
just
kids
finished
stuff?
doing a nonfiction book with you know, I do song lyrics. I've had ideas, you know, and thoughts and my poetry and mixed it in there. So it's called, the title of it, and hopefully I can publish it soon. The title of it is called Hodgepodge Thinker, a hodgepodge thinker. So,
Okay. Huh.
so
All right.
you know, I'm working on a novel, a straight novel, not graphic, but I'm also working on another graphic novel. So I try to mix cartooning with stories and being a writer. So
Okay.
I'll be doing it until I die. Like Stephen King says, if he wasn't getting paid for it, he'd still be writing, right?
So, Mark, if people want to learn more about your work, where is the best place they could go to?
I got an Instagram account. It's Marley's Press LLC at Instagram,
Okay.
and I got some of my stuff there. And I'm working on getting a website at artwanted.com. So I'm in the process of getting that done. So basically, that's where you can find some of my stuff.
And so, Mark, you're gonna have to come back on once you have the No Trespassing book of Frankie
Oh, yeah.
Crossroads.
Oh, yeah. I will. I'll let you know.
All right.